Now, in Kenya, there's a lady who is a software developer. She's been arrested. This is a female software developer who's been arrested right now. We're going to talk about her just now. I genuinely have a question. Why do African countries persecute people bad? Why do African countries do not allow opposition to express themselves? They are treated like criminals. African nations treat opposition leaders and opposition voices like criminals. They beat them up, they mistreat them, they throw them in jail, they torture them sometimes. And it's very, very sad. Because then I ask myself questions like, does Africa deserve democracy? Again, is Africa ready for democracy? As this, I mean, we all see videos of people talking about decolonize, no to imperialism.
Imperialism continues its actions, but divide and rule must not work on us anymore. You should have understood everything. Stay focused. The struggle continues. Because
imperialism is lack of democracy, right? Basically, if democracy is freedom, then imperialism is not democracy because it forces you into being subdued onto an entity or a country, right? We're saying let's free Africa, no to imperialism, no to other countries telling us what to do. Now, my question is this one. How do we treat ourselves amongst ourselves? Now, we get all angry when you hear in India they beat up black people, right? We get angry when you see videos of African Americans being persecuted in the United States of America. That's supposed to be the greatest country in the world. Yeah. Black people suffer in the US. They're not safe from their own people. We feel bad about it in Africa. We feel for them. Like every time the police pull you up, he's probably going to be unalive. Sometimes for no reason they mistreated. Now my question is, how do we treat each other within each other when we have diverse visions and opinion? Okay, when we talk the same language, we're cool with each other, right? You notice you like people that think like you. You find people that think like you intelligent. I like that guy, he's very smart. Why? Because he's saying things the way you like him. When he starts saying the very same thing, but the way you don't like him, then he's not intelligent anymore. I remember a lot of people saying, I'm very smart. I like this Zack, he's very intelligent. He always tells the truth. He doesn't mash it up. Until I started telling truth that are disturbing about themselves, then they didn't like me anymore. He's not smart. I used to think you were intelligent. No, because I started telling truth about you. How do Africans treat each other in the African continent? How do black people in general treat each other? Because this is a demon within this skin color. I'm sorry, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm not even afraid. I'm not scared of you. Because just to be honest, if you have to fight you and I'm probably going to beat you up.
Look at this. Wow.
No. I'm probably going to beat you up. No. With all due respect, I'll probably beat you up. Okay? How do we treat each other? We don't treat each other good. We don't treat each other good, because when we happen to be in Europe and one of us says something that differs from what the white man says and the white man want to reprimand him, what do you say? Racism. Okay, racism. Why is he doing that? Because she's black, they're mistreating him. Why do police arrest him? How do your government treat your people that open their mouth when they say, we don't like the fact that we have no electricity? What happens? They throw them in jail. We don't like the fact that we have a higher tax in your country. What do? They beat them up. Sometimes they're unalive. We don't like it that the elections are not being held appropriately and transparency. What happens in Africa? No, tell me the truth. Look at me in my eyes and tell me the truth. What happens in your country? You beat people up. You throw them in jail. You torture them. You mistreat them. And if you don't find them because they say something, a sentence that doesn't necessarily suit the president, they go find his mother. This is what they do in your countries. Are we nice people? Are we nice people? Fellas, we're in Kenya. Here's Kenya. Beautiful place, lovely people. I love Kenya. You always have fun in Kenya. Okay, it's amazing. The restaurants, the dances, the street, the people. It's lovely. Now in Kenya, there's a lady who is a software developer. She's been arrested. This is a female software developer who's been arrested right now. We're going to talk about her just now. But before we talk about her, let's talk about this young man. There's a young man who's 24-year-old, a Kenyan prosecuted for writing a book about the president's daughter. Okay, prosecuted for writing a book about the president's daughter. Kenyan free speech advocates and lawyers have condemned the prosecution of the author of an unauthorized biography of Kenyan President William Ruto's daughter. Her name is Charlene Ruto, and Charlene Ruto accused Webster Ochora Elijah of misusing her name by writing a book without first seeking her permission. Now, it's very interesting because I know, first of all, you're thinking, why would you write a book about somebody without their consent? It's logical, makes sense, right? Why would you write a book about me without necessarily having to? Okay, but number one, you're a public figure. They're probably going to write books about you. Number two, it's not illegal in most countries, and even not in Kenya, unless you portray the subject in a way that is not correct or a negative way. Then they can prosecute you for that. This is what legal teams in Kenya say. On Tuesday, the author was arrested and charged with impersonation over the book titled Beyond the Name, Charlene Ruto and Youth Uprising. He pleaded not guilty and was released on bail. Now, this is what one lawyer say. One lawyer say that the president's daughter has not complained about the content of the book, just that it was written without the permission. Again, the critics say this is not illegal. Politician lawyer Willis Otieno said to criminalize authorship was misusing the state machinery in defense of fragile egos. Criminalize authorship was misusing the state machinery in defense of fragile ego. So he feels like she only did that because she's the daughter of the president. You know, a normal person would never be prosecuted for that at all. Because people write other people's books. You know, people write other people's history. I mean, you talk about biography, autobiography, because biography is written by somebody else. Somebody else can write a book about you unless they depict you in a way that is negative, that does not reflect history and fact. Then you can prosecute them. You can't prosecute somebody for writing a book on your name and faith. You can't. You have no right to do that. And number two, if you want to be the president, if you choose to be a leader, if you want to be a public figure, if you want to be somebody public, they're going to write things about you. I mean, if you're worth it. The president's daughter told journalists that there was a bad culture in Kenya where we misuse people's name and we get away with it, and that is not right.
The gentleman never came to me with a suggestion that I want to write a book on your behalf. And for me, that was misappropriate use of my name. The day I'm ready to write my book, I will write it. Otherwise, nobody should write for you your own book. You should write your own book when you're ready.
So it's again, is it about force? So normally the law of Kenya say it's okay. You can write a book about somebody without necessarily having to consult them, but provided that you don't write things that are not accurate. People write stories about the King of Belgium. Did they ask for him permission? Okay. People write stories about Hitler. Did they ask Hitler's permission? People write stories about positive people. They don't necessarily do that. Number two, Kenyans have expressed outrage over the detention of a software developer who created a tool to help people oppose the government annual finance bill because fears that will raise the cost of living. Now, this is the lady I spoke to you earlier. Her name is Rose Njeri. Rose Njeri is a software developer, and she developed an app that allowed a lot of people to come and register in support of the mass protest that Kenya had. For context, a while back there was mayhem happening in Kenya. Havoc. Complete disaster. Why? Because Kenyan's politician came up with a brand new rule. The brand new rule means Kenyan citizens will have to pay extra tax on bread, extra tax on period pad, meaning if you buy bread, there's the price for bread, there's an extra for tax, extra tax for cancer treatment, and extra tax for many things. Why did Kenya do that? Kenya did that because Kenya had no money. How come Kenya had no money? Kenya had borrowed money from many international organizations like World Bank, IMF, and China. But then they needed to reimburse the money so they can continue borrowing, and Kenya was unable to do that. Why? Normally, you borrow money so you can do positive things. Did they achieve what they borrowed the money for? Well, clearly not, because the money was spent on things that were not what they borrowed for. At the end of the day, Kenya needed money so they can reimburse. Well, where are you going to get the money from? You're going to get the money from the people in a way that the people didn't necessarily agree to. Then the people were angry. You're not going to charge me extra money because you misused the money. You're not going to charge me extra money to buy a piece of bread because you decided to take the money that was allocated for positive things such as building hospitals, building schools and roads. You spent the money on building 4 villas in your village. That is not my business. Why should I pay for that? The youth of Kenya went to the street. Look, Kenyans are not like you. They're very strong. They will fight. Look at that. That was Kenya for you. They went to the street until they started shooting them with real bullets. Did the white man do that? Did the white man do that? Okay. Did the white man do that? Okay. So, what if the white man did that? What would you say? You would have called him racist, right? You would have said, no, how come? Nah, it's because of the race. How do we treat each other in our own countries and continent? It's a big question mark. Now, this lady created an app. An application allowed people to come and register and do many other things that we're not going to talk about today. Not negative things toward the government necessarily, but allowed people to come together through the app. And they've been looking for her. Now they got her. I mean, this thing is gone a long time ago. They actually reversed the law because people were being unalive in the street. So in a normal world, you say, okay, because we said sorry, the president fired many people from the government.
In line with the powers given to me by Article 1521 and 1525B of the Constitution and Sections 12 of the Office of the Attorney General's Act, decided to dismiss with immediate effect all the cabinet secretaries and Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, of the Cabinet of Kenya.
The president was saying, okay, we are sorry, we're going to fire people so you can be fine. I mean, that shows you that you sort of take responsibility, right? Now, if you took responsibility out of people being unalived and people being abducted and the situation being bad and all that stuff because you wanted to vote a law that people didn't like, why would you not just forget what people did? You said you're sorry for what happened, but you're still following up with people that did things. That's like saying, I'm sorry, let's fix things, but then I follow you in the dark and I hit you with the hammer. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. Okay. Don't you think the lady like this one should actually be supported? She be supported because it shows how, number one, brave she is. Number two, how competent she is. You know, she has the ability to create an app that will bring so many people without a server breaking, and you want to throw her in jail and shut her down so she'd never do this? You want to force her to forget her ability? Why can't you build up what you have? Why Africans will want to destroy what I don't understand. Wozinjiri was detained on Friday after police raided her home in capital Nairobi and seized electronic devices. You see why Trump say, when you see a shithole country, you know, like, why would you go seize somebody's stuff? Because was the fight they were fighting not right? Look, I'm not saying that the way they fought was absolutely correct. I'm saying that we don't want to pay extra money for period pad. A wrong move? The police and the government have yet commented on the situation. Mass protests broke out last year after government proposed tax hike, forcing President William Ruto to withdraw the 2024 financial bill. That's what they call it, the financial bill. Ruto withdrew the financial bill, but they're still following up on people now. Why do Africans treat other people like this? And in that situation, at least 50 people were unalived because they were fighting for the right. Now, Law Society of Kenya President Faith Odhiambo, she said this has always been a government way of oppressing, intimidating and suppressing citizens because they know the court don't sit down on the weekend. So they put this girl in a place where she cannot get out because on weekend she can't get out. She's forced to stay in. And Boniface Mwangi, one of the activists who had visited Njeri in custody, says she told them that the police had ransacked her house and taken her phone and laptop and hard drive. Why would you need all that stuff? She just created an app. Now, let me put it this way for you. I believe there's a man named Mwangi who was in Tanzania lately. He went to support an opposition leader in Tanzania. Support, not give him weapons, just support him because he was put in jail. This opposition leader, I believe, was put in jail because he said they need to review the election procedures. You know, you need more transparency. He was put in jail. Now, the man apparently was mistreated in Tanzania. Okay? Apparently was mistreated. He claims that he was taken from behind in Tanzania.
I have gone through very 4 dark days. I have been tortured very badly. I can barely walk. But I'm very concerned about Agatha because we were tortured together and they did very horrible things to us. So I hope that Agatha is safe.
Look at the map. This is Kenya. These are the same people. Okay? If not the same people, they're very close. See, the map was created by the white man. Just keep that in mind. They speak Swahili in Kenya. They speak Swahili in Tanzania. The men went to Tanzania to support an opposition leader who wanted some things done in transparency. And he was taken, put in jail. The guy is from Kenya. There was him and another lady from Uganda that apparently were mistreated. Now the guy is back. Look at him crying. Now my question is this one. How will you cry saying that you were mistreated in Tanzania? Whether it's right or wrong, whether it's correct or not. How are you treated in Kenya? Again, that's the question. How are we treated in our countries, in our places? How are we treated? How do we treat our own people? That's a big question mark. And I have to say this again. South Africa is one of the African countries, one of the, yes, I know you hate it. One of the African countries where people can speak about the president without having a fear that they're going to be abducted or disappear. Or somebody's going to walk into their house and take laptops and... Listen to Malema.
Ramaphosa could not present the facts in front of Donald Trump. You've got a coward president. He left here. Ariana, he won't be bullied. When he arrived there, he was shaking.
You see, this guy said the president is a coward. Can you say that to your president? Now, are you going to tell me that the negative people, the bad people, are exclusively white? Talking about colonialism and imperialism? Let me know how you feel about this. God bless.